remember when I said last night that Taijuan Walker was probably going 6 scoreless innings? Well, I got half that right. Well, I got half that right. Oh boy, but this was insanely predictable. It just was. It really just was. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And the Phillies lose the series finale. They almost get no hit in the series finale. It took until the 8th inning when Austin Hayes had an infield single for the no-hitter to finally go away, and everyone was just like, oh, thank God. Thank God. Not only was it a Taijuan Walker start, but then a no-hitter? I don't know how this fan base would have handled that. I really don't know. I don't even know how I would have handled that. Obviously, this was a complete throwaway game from the way everything went. Obviously, Taijuan Walker on the mound means it's a throwaway game, and thankfully you won the first 2 games of this series. So you won 2 of 3. That is the most important thing at the end of the day. You have won 3 of your last 4 series. I don't want that to go understated. But remember the last time when the Phillies felt like they were feeling themselves and everything was going well? And it looked like they were starting to rebound a little bit. And granted, it was against different class of competition like the Marlins, like the Washington Nationals. Granted, like I said, different types of competition. But then, final game of the series, you have a weird decision. You don't bring in Bryce Harper or JT to pinch it in the bottom of the 9th inning. And then after that, you lose the game, and then you lose a 3-game set in Atlanta. Yeah, then you eventually won the 3-game set in Kansas City, and you won this series today. But, I don't know. I don't want this to be the vibe killer. I don't. Taijuan Walker himself is a vibe killer whenever he does go out there. We'll see. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of the fact that Taijuan Walker is a pure vibe killer. You know he's going to go out there. You know he's going to get shelled. That is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. He is going to get shelled. He's going to allow hard contact. He's going to allow a ton of base runners. He's going to allow home runs. And that was the obvious case there. At this point, I would have just let him pitch the entire game so you don't have to utilize really anyone important in the bullpen. That's basically what happened. They went to Mercado after Walker wasn't any prettier. Definitely wasn't. Hell, the cleanest inning of the day was Weston Wilson on the mound in the top of the 9th inning. Ay, 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 ay. Just an ugly game. Just a very ugly game, which was clearly a throwaway. And to be real here, I am still not happy that they have throwaway games and they treat it like a throwaway and they're treating it like an acceptable loss. Now, granted, yes, you're not going to win every single game. That is not physically possible. That's not where I'm trying to get at. It's just the mentality going into the game. Mentality thinking of, okay, we're fine losing this game. It's fine. We're fine losing this game. And yes, they're probably more focused on the 4-game set with the Atlanta Braves because they won this series already with the Houston Astros. I'm sure that's their mindset, obviously. And probably that should be their mindset because, yes, it's a very important series that can determine the division, basically. If you do win 3 or 4 against Atlanta, that can really very much well determine what happens in the division. I just don't like the tone that comes out of this game. Now, granted, they can completely prove me wrong, and they go into tomorrow, and they win the game. They could completely play 100% better baseball than what they did today. Starting tomorrow in the series against Atlanta, that can completely change. It can. It 100% can. So, we'll see. We'll see to that point. But it's long overdue. And I mean long overdue that Taijuan Walker should be DFA'd. Hell, he should have been DFA'd after his last start. We were all preaching it. But, and this is a major but, I know Rob Thompson talked about, him having faith in Taijuan Walker and all that stuff. I call all of that bull. And granted, I think Rob Thompson is being honest in the case, but I think Rob Thompson is taking the fall for the mistakes of the front office there. Because I think this is more Dave Dombrowski than Rob Thompson about forcing Taijuan Walker out there on the mound. That's what I personally think. I'm not getting any details on that. This is nothing from anything inside. This is just pure feels. I don't think this is a Rob Thompson issue. I think Rob Thompson preferably would rather have Tyler Phillips out there or would rather have Allard out there because those guys provide better vibes than what Taijuan Walker provides. That's just the bottom line. And I think Dave Dombrowski, because he's trying to prove something here, because he signed the guy to the contract and it's turned into an ugly signing. No one really could have predicted it to get this bad. But I think Dave Dombrowski is just strictly hesitant on DFAing this guy because of the money and because of the money you're going to have to eat when you're releasing him. But you got to do it at this point because he's giving so many second chances after third chances, after fourth chances. It's just too much. It's too many chances in a row. You already basically shook up the rotation when Spencer Turnbull was going well, when he was pitching very well and the rotation was going very well. You throw Taijuan Walker into that mix, and then Spencer Turnbull's season turns into a dumpster fire because he gets injured because it's a tough transition for him into the bullpen. And I was never for that decision to begin with because Taijuan Walker has done nothing to earn that spot back into the rotation with the way that Turnbull was pitching. Now, was Turnbull going to keep those numbers up the entire season? And yes, was Turnbull going to be able to stay healthy the rest of the season? Yeah, that's all to be determined if he was still in the starting rotation. But he gets forced into the bullpen, which is a tough transition for a starting pitcher, and he got injured because of it. And then he got forced into the starting rotation again and got injured. So it's just, you completely screwed that entire thing up because you wanted to force Taijuan Walker back into the rotation. And now you're in this situation to where he has a phantom blister that lasts weeks. That wasn't a blister. That was a reason to try to get him some rest, try to get him back into shape or something like that. It wasn't. Maybe there was a blister involved, but it wasn't to that drastic degree. It wasn't. It was a phantom IL stint. It just was. And ever since he come back, it's been absolute garbage on top of the more garbage that has already been the experience of Taijuan Walker. And it's long overdue that this guy gets DFA'd. Roster expansions happen in the next few days, starting September 1st. There definitely will be people called up, and I'm sure Taijuan Walker has to be DFA'd in order for some things to happen. It just is the case. You're not salvaging Taijuan Walker. It's just not going to happen. No matter how many times you send him on minor league rehab assignments, no matter of anything there, no matter how many times you force him out there in an MLB ball game, it's not going to work. You're not going to salvage him. He's just completely lost. It's not worth it at the end of the day. It just is not. And Dave Dombrowski has to grab some stones and DFA this guy before anything else happens. Because this guy should not be a Philly after tonight. He should be DFA'd starting tonight. Hell, he should have been DFA'd as soon as he came off the mound for his final pitch. That should have been the case. There's no other reason to be that fact. And if this guy gets another chance in the rotation, that is an utter failure by this organization because you're putting yourself at an automatic loss whenever this guy goes on the mound. It's just, Taijuan Walker won the schedule, automatic loss. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. And this guy needs to be gone. To be gone. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just look at his stat line. Look at his stat line from today. 6 innings, 13 hits allowed, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 0 strikeouts, and a home run allowed to Yordan Alvarez on 93 pitches. Just let's look at Taijuan Walker's entire season stats. Just go by game, look at his entire game logs. All the games that he has started and how poorly they have went. So his first start of the season was in San Diego on April 28th. He went 6 1/3 innings, allowed 6 earned runs and 2 homers, 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. Then his next start was against the San Francisco Giants on May 5th. He went 6 1/3 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. Probably one of his better starts of the season. No, actually, his better start of the season was probably this start right here against the Miami Marlins. 6 innings, 8 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. That was probably his best start. That's his only start when he allowed 2 earned runs or less. Then his next start against the New York Mets on May 16th, he went 3 1/3 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. So I guess he left that game early with injury. I completely forget about that. Against the Texas Rangers, he went 4 2/3, 6 hits, allowed 3 earned runs. Against the St. Louis Cardinals on June 2nd, he went 5 innings, allowed 4 earned runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Against the Mets in London, he went 5 2/3, allowed 2 earned runs, struck out 6. Against the Baltimore Orioles, he went 5 2/3, allowed 3 earned runs, 1 home run, 2 walks. Against the Arizona Diamondbacks, this was before he went on the IL. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 3 homers allowed, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts in 4 innings. Then it goes on the IL. He returns. He goes 4 innings against the Marlins, allowed 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks. Against the Nationals, 4 2/3, 3 earned runs, 2 homers, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. In his last start against the Kansas City Royals before today, 3 innings, 6 earned runs, 2 homers allowed. Just an unreal. And then you include tonight, he went 6 innings because he had to. He went 6 innings because he needed to. It was not because he was pitching well. He went 6 innings because they forced him to. 6 innings and all that stuff. I read the stats to you already. Mercado allowed 4 earned runs. Then Lazard did his job, got 2 outs, didn't record any damage, and then Weston Wilson allowed 1 hit on 8 pitches. So just Weston Wilson doing his job. That's ridiculous. My God. And if you want to look at the lineup, the Astros had 18 hits. Yordan Alvarez had 3 homers on the day. Kyle Schwarber, he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and a walk. Trey Turner went 1 for 4. Harper went 1 for 3 with a walk. Bohm went 1 for 4. Castellanos 0 for 3. Stott went 0 for 2 with a walk. Marsh went 0 for 3 with a walk. Hayes went 1 for 3. Stubbs went 1 for 3. The Phillies did have chances to score. That was later on in the ballgame, though. 0 for 5 in those situations, but it really didn't mean much because it was already game over to begin with. And if you just want to look at everything that happened against Taijuan Walker in the early parts of the game, allowed a double to lead off the game against Altuve. Alvarez walked. Then Taijuan Walker managed to get the next 2 outs before, he tried to pick off Alvarez at first base for some reason. No, actually, it wasn't Alvarez at first base. It was Pena at first base. For some reason, he tries to pick off Pena at first base. Bryce Harper is not paying attention to Altuve over at third. Altuve steals home because of that. So it's a bad decision to throw over the first by Walker because I have no idea why you're even worrying about the first base runner to begin with. And it's also Bryce Harper for being lackadaisical over there. So instantly right there, not a good look. 1-0 after there. Taijuan Walker actually has a clean inning in the top of the second inning. Got a double play to end it off. Top of the third, actually didn't allow any runs. Still had bases loaded, basically, but got out of it. Top of the fourth, this is when everything breaks open, basically. Leadoff single by Carantini. Gamble doubles. Myers doubles, which scores 2 runs. Dubon singles, which scores a run. Alvarez hits a 2-run shot, makes it 6-0. And that's the rest of the inning there. Bregman then doubled, but then Pena flew out. Top of the fifth, it was actually, a clean inning for Walker, but, not shocked there. Then another clean inning for Walker in his final inning in the top of the sixth, but, blah, 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 blah. He still already allowed 6 runs. Then Alvarez homered in the top of the 7th inning. And then in the 8th, McCormick hit a 2-run shot. Alvarez went back-to-back for his 3rd of the day. And that was basically your ball game. Phillies didn't get their first hit until the bottom of the 8th inning on an Austin Hayes infield single. Then Trey Turner singled there, blah, 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 blah. Alec Bohm singled in the bottom of the 9th inning, blah, 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 blah. This game was already over and done with when Taijuan Walker took the mound. That was basically it. So, it was a throwaway game automatically. So, that's just how it was today. Completely how it was today. And I really want to see if there's anything post-game from Taijuan Walker. So we do have a video here. This is from 97.5, the Fanatic Colin Newby. So the question says, where do the Phillies go from here with Taijuan Walker's spot in the rotation? So it's a minute clip of Rob Thompson's post-game, so we might as well bring that up here.
It was okay for the first couple innings. I mean, he lost finish in the 4th, but wasn't a whole lot of hard contact early, but fourth there was. But to his credit, he gave us the fifth and sixth and wanted to go back out there and save the bullpen. So, yeah, it was a rough day all the way around, every aspect.
Where do you go from here with that spot in the rotation?
Now we got to talk about it.
Walker came back in after that fourth inning. Like you had a conversation with him. What was that?
Well, I just want to make sure he was okay, and he wanted to go back out. And then in the fifth inning, it was like 13 pitches, so he still had some pitches left, and so I wanted to make sure he was okay again, and he wanted to go back out. So he finished strong, and that fourth inning it was a little rough.
Is there a possibility that he starts again this year?
We got to discuss it.
He's done. He's got to be done. He has to be done. In my personal opinion, he has to be done. I really hope so. Here's the entire broadcast from NBC Sports Philadelphia of Rob's post-game. Better audio quality, too.
It's translated.
Yeah.
So it's just what that is.
Not really sure. I don't really have an answer for it. I thought he was okay for the first couple innings, and then he lost finish in the fourth, but there wasn't a whole lot of hard contact early, but fourth there was. But to his credit, he gave us the fifth and sixth and wanted to go back out there and save the bullpen. So, yeah, it was a rough day all the way around in every aspect.
Where do you go from here with that?
Now we got to talk about it.
When Walker came back in after that fourth inning, it's like you had a conversation with him. What was that?
Well, I just want to make sure he was okay, and he wanted to go back out. And then in the fifth inning, it was like 13 pitches, so he still had some pitches left, and so I wanted to make sure he was okay again, and he wanted to go back out. So he finished strong. That fourth inning was a little rough.
Is there a possibility that he starts again this year?
We got to discuss it.
I know you say you want to talk about where the spot rotation, with the way the schedule falls in September, do you feel like you have a little bit of time?
Yeah, we have the off day on Monday, so we do have some options, yeah.
You talked to the focus in the last bullpen was trying to throw more strikes. He threw a lot of first pitch strikes today. Still got hit pretty hard. Is that troubling that just anything you guys try to key on to get him going just does not seem to be working?
Yeah, a little bit, because there was not much swing and miss, and he needs to be swing and miss, and he needs to be soft contact, which he was early, but got away from him. But he certainly needs to have more swing and miss than he's getting.
Is there a possibility that there's a different role for him in the bullpen? Is that part of will that be part of your discussion?
Sure.
The play in the first inning where Altuve ends up stealing home. How does it break down that kind of happen?
I think Harp just assumed that he wasn't going to run. And as we all know, you can't assume anything. So there's another inning that he probably should have gotten out of.
Taijuan, you've spoken highly of him, his work ethic.
Yep.
You saw his frustration in the dugout today. You hear the fans' frustration. How do you feel for the way things have not worked out for him this season?
I feel bad for him. I really do, because I think all of you know how much I respect and love the players, and he works extremely hard, and he's taking that time on the IL to try and try different things, to gain velocity, to gain action on a split. There's no lack of effort there. And so when guys give effort and it doesn't work out, or you don't see the results, it hurts. It hurts me, and obviously it hurts him too.
There's another part of the reason you sent him out there again for the fifth and then the sixth day. You just want to save the bullpen.
Yes.
4-game series coming up with the
Yeah.
Phillies.
Speaking of that series, you say all series are big, but with the way the standings are, with how many games are left, how much more important does that make these next 4 days?
They're important, obviously. I don't know how much more important, but I always say that you got to win at home and you got to win in your division. If you want to win a division title, you got to win inside your division at home. So it's a big series.
When would Ty's next turn come? Is it definite that it would be Tuesday in Toronto, or could you shuffle the rotation?
Well, with the off day, you can shuffle.
Okay, so That's the play.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it, but
So, whatever you want to take from that, we'll see. Basically, talking about the off day this Monday before their road trip to Toronto and Miami, they could do something with the rotation then, but at that point, Taijuan Walker should be DFA'd away by then, but I have no idea what Dave Dombrowski's going to do. I have no idea what's going to happen there. I definitely do not. Rob Thompson definitely sounds like he feels bad for him, but also at the same time, Rob Thompson sounds like he's done. Sounds like it's just. It even sounded like Rob was done with him after the Kansas City start. Basically, oh, we still got to talk about it. We'll find out when we talk about it. And like I said, I think Rob's being the fall guy for Dave Dombrowski here. I personally think that's the case. You could tell me wrong, but that's what I think. I think he's being the fall guy for Dave Dombrowski. Because Dave is being stubborn with this entire thing. He's trying to prove something about Taijuan because he signed him to that contract. At that point, you just got to bite the bullet and DFA the guy because it's just not worth it having this guy chuck out there every 5 days. It's not. Just throwing live batting practice every 5 days. It's not worth it. It is not worth it, especially when you're trying to look at the division right now. And granted, yes, we still don't know what's going to happen with the Braves and Twins tonight. But what time are they playing? They're not playing until 7:40, so that's in another 30 minutes at this point. And Chris Sale is on the mound for Atlanta. I'm not sure who's pitching for Minnesota. It is David Festa, and David Festa is 2-3 with a 5.20 ERA. And the Braves' offense, for as depleted as it is, has been hot the past so many series. So with Chris Sale on the mound, I would put that as a recipe for a Braves sweep of the Minnesota Twins. So, yeah, you avoid Chris Sale once again this year. The only time you have seen Chris Sale was the third game of the season in that first series against Atlanta. But besides Max Fried, you really have not hit this Braves pitching staff. Charlie Morton, Lopez, Schwellenbach and Lopez twice. You hit Max Fried a couple of times, and then the last time you faced him, you didn't really do much. You got to win this series. It's bottom line. Because like I said, this 4-game set could very well decide the division. Very well could decide the division. Because you're talking about right now, if the Braves were to lose today, the division lead would go back to 6. But if the Braves win today, it goes to a 5-game division lead. So you're talking about a possible 5-game division lead going into a 4-game set. At best, it'll be a 9-game division lead. At worst, it'll be 1 game. And say if you went 3-4, so I think 3-4 would put you at a 7-game lead, if I'm not mistaken, because one win would be if say this is all a 5-game division lead starting tomorrow, you win 1 game, it's a 6-game division lead. You win the 2nd game, 7-game division lead. You win the 3rd, 8-game division lead, and say if you lose the final game, that'll be a 7-game division lead. And like I said, the best you can be is 9 games. So that's the only thing, and at worst, you could be 1. So, and at middle ground, I guess, you could be 5 again. So, you could be right back to where you started. So there's really only 2 per spell. There's more outcomes than that. Like I said, it could be a 7-game lead. I believe it could be a 3-game lead if you lose 3 of 4. And like I said, if it's a 9-game lead, if you sweep it, it's a 1-game lead if you get swept. So, and if you split, it's a 5-game lead. So, it's really only possible outcomes of a 1-game lead, a 3-game lead, a 5-game lead, a 7-game lead, or a 9-game lead. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about that possible outcome because it's day-by-day feeling. It's a day-by-day feeling. Gotta wait what happens with the Braves tonight with Chris Sale on the mound. But like I said, I just said it's a guaranteed win because I do not see the Twins hitting against Chris Sale. I just don't see it whatsoever. And if we look at the pitching matchups for this upcoming series with the Atlanta Braves, we know Christopher Sanchez's start was originally today, but then got pushed back an extra day for tomorrow. So it's Christopher Sanchez tomorrow going up against Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton is 7-7 with a 4.24 ERA. Charlie Morton in his last couple of starts, he went 5 2/3 against Washington, allowed 2 earned runs, 5 1/3 against the Angels, allowed 1 earned run, and then 6 innings against the Giants, allowed 2 earned runs. Before that, he went 2 2/3 against Milwaukee and allowed 8 earned runs. So take that for a grain of salt, and let's see what happens there against Charlie Morton. Ronaldo Lopez has been really good this year, and we've seen him twice, and he's diced us up twice, so we all know what Ronaldo Lopez is made of. Max Fried, 2 times we faced him, we hit him. The last time we faced him, we didn't hit him, so gotta find a way to get back into that mojo of hitting him again. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, it'll be Nola versus Schwellenbach. Then Friday's matchup, like I said, it's Ranger Suarez against Lopez. Saturday is Zach Wheeler against Fried, and then Sunday's Nola against Schwellenbach. And the 2 times that you face Schwellenbach this year, you got diced up. So you gotta win this series. Gotta win this series because after this 4-game set against Atlanta, get an off day on Labor Day, and then you have a 6-game road trip. 2 of those games are in Toronto, and then 4 of those games are in Miami. And then you get basically to the backstretch of the season where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more series after Miami, 3 games at home against Tampa, 3 games at home against the Mets, 3 games on the road against Milwaukee, 4 games on the road against the Mets again, then 3 games at home against the Cubs. That's your final home series of the year. And then the final series of the year is 3 games on the road against the Washington Nationals. So take it for what it's worth, but you take it day by day. Take it day by day. 1 game at a time, 1 series at a time. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. We do have 1 text message here on the Anytime Hotline. It is from Jonathan. Jonathan says, honestly, I wonder if the lineup knew this was a loss because Walker was starting and decided to mail it in. I would hate that that's the case. I don't think that was the case, but I do think the entire team basically mailed it in. Also, how ironic it is that Austin Hayes breaks up the no-hitter, not the guy on the 2022 team no-hit by these Astros. I guess if you put it like that. So, let's get to you guys here in the comment section. Well, live chat before we end it off. No voicemails here today. Tyler, how you doing? Losing is okay when you won the series, but a 10-0 is just unfucking acceptable. Walker is garbage, but your offense just can't die like that. I agree. I do agree with that. I would be more upset about this outcome if I hadn't been expecting it. What really concerns me is how the offense is going to do against Atlanta. This is now how I want the playoffs to go. Forget everything. Harper's power is gone. If he's injured or not, it doesn't matter. This is a major problem. Harper's power is not gone. I think Harper's just major slumping. We said the same thing about this in 2022. His power was gone, and look what he did in the playoffs. I'm not worried about Bryce in the slightest. I'm not. Because you say that about that, Julian, and then Bryce will go on a power streak. So I think you got to hold off on Bryce Harper there. Austin, they should have just left Walker out there for all 9 innings, try to break the record for how many runs one game pitcher can give up in a game. Otherwise, what was the point of Rob starting him? Like I said, I don't think this is a Rob Thompson thing. I think this is a Dave Dombrowski thing. I think it's Dave. Taijuan's an absolute joke. Walker is the worst pitcher in Major League history. I don't think he's the worst pitcher in Major League history, but he definitely is the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball this year. One of the worst, at least. His career definitely isn't over. Some team, if he does get DFA'd, some team will pick him up. If it's a bad team, because they'll need an arm. Don, I feel like the Phillies position player more or less had a silent protest today the way they played and swung the bat. I don't think they like Taijuan or want him on the team, to be honest. If that was the petition, and freaking they should have said that to Dave Dombrowski before they made him start this game, in my personal opinion. How did I know this was going to happen? Well, it was kind of obvious. I was joking more or less than yesterday, saying he was probably going to go 6 innings scoreless because that's how the baseball gods work. But at the end of the day, we all knew this was probably going to happen. Weston Wilson was the Phillies' best hit pitcher today. Good for him. He just had his child born, so using that father strength, I guess. They won the series great, but go out there and look like you don't give a fuck at all. Yeah, definitely, I don't like that approach either, 100%. Funny thing is, I'm having meatballs for dinner tonight, just like the Astros had for lunch today. Is Taijuan Walker even better than... Oh, the Craig Kimbrell experience was 100% better than Taijuan Walker experience, especially this year. Jesus Christ. I would rather go through Craig Kimbrell 20 billion times over than Taijuan Walker, in my personal opinion. Walker might as well have been lobbing beach balls over the plate. Don has a feeling the Twins will beat Chris Sale tonight. I hope you're right there, Don. I hope you're right there. 3 total hits for the Phillies again tonight. This team is so frustrating. I agree. I'll be going to the 2 games in Toronto. Looking forward to it. Well, definitely have fun there. Hopefully you do have fun there, Don. Hopefully that comes after a Phillies series win against the Braves. Hopefully that's the case. So, trying to see if there's anything more here post game. I'm not sure if Taijuan Walker even got interviewed. He probably did, but there's nothing being posted right now on the Twitterverse. So, we'll see what happens. But we're getting a little extended here, and it's also getting later in the day. So, I'm going to have to work in a little bit at this point. I also got to find a way to eat dinner. So, I got to do a lot of things right now in the next few hours. So, we'll end it here tonight, boys. I appreciate you all for tuning in. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. And also don't forget to use the code TTPSPORTS. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. It is a great deal. Do not pass it up. Get yourself down to a Citizens Bank Park for this huge series against the Atlanta Braves and any Phillies game in the last month of September. So, yeah. Appreciate you all. One and all. Love you guys a lot. Hopefully, tomorrow will be both better days against the Atlanta Braves. We'll see.